Testing, testing. Miss Ellie, stop. Lie down. Good, Bernadette. Miss Ellie, stop. There. Good, Bruno. Hey,
Good
you're here.
morning. Yes, I'm
Good
here.
morning. How's your day so far?
Day is good. I finally got some sleep a little bit, but day is great.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, this next section we're going to do in 3 parts.
Okay.
Well, actually, maybe 2, but definitely 3. Reason being because when you solve quadratic equations,
hmm
there are 3. Let me see. Let me get this thing started. Yeah. So when you solve quadratic equations, there are 3 predominant ways of solving them. One of them is factoring. One of them is complete the square. The other one is quadratic formula. Each one of them have their own rules and procedures. So it's very drawn out. Okay, first, let's begin. A quadratic equation. What is it? It's an equation with x squared being the highest exponent. All right, so that's what makes it quadratic. The highest exponent of any equation defines what kind of equation it is, no matter how many terms it has. So if the highest exponent, it has x squared, then it's quadratic. It forms a parabola. It looks like this or like this. That's a parabola. It's a U-shaped object.
hmm
The difference between a quadratic equation and a quadratic function is this. A quadratic equation has this form: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. When it's written in this form, when everything's on one side set equals 0, this is what's called the standard form. All right, so whenever I say put it in standard form, that means move all the letters numbers to one side and set it equals 0. The quadratic function simply looks like this. F of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's the difference. Is an equation set equals 0, a function simply has that function notation. And you can put whatever value you want in there. All right. So whenever we graph, we have to always start with this way. A couple of terms we need to look at first. Okay. The 0 product principle. The 0 product principle pretty much goes with the standard form. What it says, the 0 product. If you have 2 numbers or 2 terms multiplied together, and then they equal 0, then what has to be true is either A equals 0, B equals 0, or both A and B equals 0. Right, so we'll be using this to solve all our quadratic equations. The next thing we're going to look at is a reminder is the square root principle. The square root principle is simply this. If you have a number x squared equals a variable x squared equals some number a, when you square root the x squared and you square root the a, the square and the square root cancel, and it equals a positive or a negative square root of a. Here's an example. If x squared equals, let's say 4, not 2, just say 4. What can be true? So we square root both sides. Those cancel, so it's x square root of 4 is 2. Okay, we know for sure that 2 squared equals 4. But we also know that negative 2 squared also equals 4. So that's the reason whenever you square root a squared number, a squared term, it always becomes the plus or minus of that square root. So always whenever you take a square root of squared, put a plus or minus and then square root the answer. Right. So the first process we're going to look at of solving quadratic equations. There's 3 ways to solve quadratic equations. Actually, there's 4 ways, but graphing is a very long and tedious process. So we don't talk about that. The first way, factoring. Factoring is when we take a quadratic equation set it equal to 0, and factor it into 2 distinct monomial terms. We'll end up with something like x plus b, x minus c. So I mean, whatever, 2 numbers. And then when we finish that, when we factor it, because of the 0 product principle, this times this equals 0. That means either the first one equals 0 or the second one equals 0. And we work them both out. So far, so good?
Yes.
All right. Now, in factoring, there are 2 types. If you have a binomial,
I know.
okay, and so the binomial means you only have 2 terms.
Mhm.
And so with that, there are two ways that can happen. Both terms have X.
No.
We'll have something like this. AX squared plus BX equals 0. So if both terms have X, I mean, one of them has to be X squared because it still has to be quadratic. So how do you solve that one? Remember the distributive property. A times X plus Y equals AX plus AY. We're going backwards. What do they both have in common? They both have an A. Once you take out what they have in common, put whatever's left inside parentheses. So here we're going to factor these that way. So what do both terms have in common?
They have X.
They both have an X. So if I remove one X from both of these terms, what I'm left with is AX plus B equals 0. So whenever you factor, always test to see if your factor is correct. Multiply. X times AX is AX squared. X times B is BX. Okay, you have to make sure, because if not, then you did something wrong.
Right.
Then from there, set both of these terms equal to 0 and solve them. So your first answer is X equals 0. The next answer is, okay, you have to subtract B from both sides and then divide by A. So that's how you solve it. If you have a binomial, only two terms, and they both have X's. Second way is if only one term has an X. And in other words, it has to be the X squared. Because if it doesn't have an X squared, it's not quadratic. It looks something like this. So if you have something like this, then we have to use the square root method. The square root method simply says isolate the X. So move the C over. Divide by A. So we have X squared equals negative C over A. Then you square root both sides. So the squared and the X can't, and the radical cancel. So you have X equals plus or minus whatever's on the right hand side.
Square root equals C.
Okay, let's look at examples of both of those.
Plus, it says plus or minus.
Yeah, so
Plus or minus.
whenever you square root X squared, you have to put plus or minus in
Mhm.
front of the other side.
Right. Okay,
right, let's look at examples. Okay. X squared plus 4x equals 0. It's a binomial, only has two terms. They both have x's, so we use the factoring method. They both have an x in common. We take out one x from both of those. Now we set both of those equations equal to 0.
Zero. And x plus 4 equals 0.
Yeah, so we solve both of those and we get our answers.
X unknown. So it's not wrong if it says x minus equals -4.
No, that's what's supposed to be. It's both of these answers.
Okay.
Because the exponent tells you the number of solutions.
Oh, okay. Number of solutions.
Okay. Let's look at another example.
X squared equals to x. So you do x trans.
Has to be equal to 0 first. You have to get all the x's to one side. Now, what do?
So what do you put it in the factory method?
Yeah, now
Like
you gotta
the
factor
x?
it.
So you put x parentheses.
Okay, here's a shortcut. Whenever you factor something out, since you factored an x out, to determine what goes inside here, here's your equation. Divide both of these by what you factored out.
Okay.
So x squared divided by x is only 1x because you took away 1x, minus x divided by x is 1.
1. Okay. I thought -1 somewhere, but I didn't know if I was second guessing.
Yeah, it's exactly the easiest way of doing it. It's just whenever you have a lot of people just when there's only a term by itself and it goes away, they don't put anything there. But remember,
Right.
you have to be able to go from that one to the question. So x times x times 1. So I solve both of those. I get x equals 0 and x equals +1. Those are my answers. Okay, that's the first part. Now let's look. 2x squared minus 4 equals 0. Okay, it's a binomial. It has two terms. And only one term has an x.
Right.
So we have to use what method here?
Square root method.
Square root method, yes. So in this method, you have to have the x's on one side, numbers on the other. So we have to add 4 to both sides.
Add it on this side, plus 4 on this side. So you get left with 2x squared equals to 0 plus 4. I mean plus 4.
Mm-hmm. Then you have to divide by 2.
On both sides. X squared equals 2.
All right. Then last step, since x is by itself, square root both sides.
And square root both sides, which it cancels it out. So x equals to, oh, forget that plus or negative.
You don't forget that plus or negative, right? That plus or
Yeah.
minus is very important. That gives you two answers.
Plus negative square root 2.
Mhm. Here's another example.
X 27 equals to 0. So do you want to get the x by itself, right?
Right.
So you get 3x squared and then minus 27 and add 27 equals to 20, negative 27.
Right. Whatever you do to one side, if you do the other side. So you're subtracting 27.
Right. And then you want to divide it by 3.
Yes. Perfect.
So x squared negative 27 divided by 3. Because you want to divide it by 3. So that equals to, sorry. I'm like thinking about it. I was like, what is that?
9.
9.
Yes.
9. X squared equals to negative. Would it be a negative 9?
Yes.
Negative
Because it was
9 is
negative
fine. Bring
27
it
divided
down.
by 3.
Right. So negative 9. Then you want to square root it. So cancel that out. Square root that. I have a question. Oh, because it's a
Yes.
negative, doesn't matter. Like, because okay, because I shouldn't. There was some from the last chapter.
Yes.
I was getting it messed up. So when it's square root of negative 9, I'll just ask that in a little bit.
Okay. First off, when you square, you have to put plus or minus.
Plus or minus. So plus
Okay.
or minus.
Now, this is a negative inside the square root. That comes out as an I.
Right.
That takes
Oh,
the I takes care of the negative inside the square root.
got it. Okay.
So square root of 9 is 3. So your answer is 3i, plus or minus 3i.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a lot of people will get a little confused because now we have to start applying. In the past, we used to say, okay, it has a negative, we're done. We can't go any further. But now, since we learned about imaginaries, we can go further.
Right.
Okay, so that's the first condition. If you have two terms and one or both have x's. Now the second one, let's see what I leave off that numbering as. Okay, it's a B, capital B. If you have a trinomial, in other words,
3
terms. Trinomial is the ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0.
Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0.
Okay, there are two different ways of solving this, depending on the equation. One way is if a equals 1, and if a isn't 1. And a also, in both of these, a cannot equal 0. Because if a is 0, then we don't have a quadratic anymore.
You say if
In
it
other words,
doesn't equal to
if
1,
A
it's
is 0,
quadratic.
yeah, if A is 0, then that term's gone. It's down to linear. So in
Oh,
both of these
okay,
cases, we
okay.
have to have an A. A cannot be
Okay.
0, and either A is 1 or A is a number.
A is 1 or A is a number.
Huh? What could happen?
Okay, before we start factoring these, let's first practice.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you 4 possibilities. X plus 2 times X plus 3.
X plus 2. X
X-
plus 3.
X plus 2 times X minus 3.
X plus 2. No, mama. Stop it.
Then X minus 2, X plus 3. And then they're both minus.
Plus 2. X minus 3. And then we said X minus 2. X. Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and multiply those
Hold
4 together.
Okay. So you have, they're basically up to the same, right?
There should be all different to X plus 2, X plus 3, X plus minus, X minus plus, X minus minus. So those are the 4
Oh, okay.
possible combinations of the plus and minus.
Gotcha. So when we solve for these, I know it's because you just taught me that FOIL method, so it's like embedded in my head. That has nothing to do with any of this, does it?
Well, this is FOIL. This is FOIL mode. Yeah. So
Okay.
the
Okay.
first and the first, last, inner,
Mhm.
outer. So
Okay,
X
I was
times
making sure.
X is
X
X
times X
squared.
is X squared.
Positive and positive is a positive. X times 3 is 3X. Now that's it for the first one. Now the second one. Positive, positive is a positive. 2 times X
2
is
plus
2X.
2X. And then plus 6.
Positive, positive is a plus, and then a 6. Combined like terms, we get X squared plus
X
5X
squared plus
plus 6.
5X plus 6. Okay,
Do the next one.
next one. All right, so it's X squared minus negative 3X. And then it's plus 2X. And then negative and the positive is negative 5. I mean negative 6. Ooh,
Very good.
trying to add. And
Now
then you
combine like
combine
terms.
like terms. Would that be x squared 1x?
What sign?
Nothing. Well, oh no, 3 is bigger, right? So
Right?
that's what I'm saying. Would it be minus 1? I mean negative
Yes.
1?
Yeah, because since you have opposite signs, take the sign of the larger and subtract the numbers.
Mhm.
3 minus 2 is
Gotcha.
1, which is just X minus 6.
And then x squared. And then plus 3x. And then it's negative 2x. And then negative 6 again.
Mhm.
Combine like terms, 2x squared. One, was it plus
Plus 1, yeah. Because
x?
opposite
Yeah,
signs,
1.
take the sign of the larger and subtract the numbers.
Yeah, plus x equal minus 6. So x squared over here. X squared. It's minus 3x. minus 2x plus 6.
Mhm.
X minus 5x plus 6.
Very good. Okay, so that's chapter 2 stuff, multiplying and putting them together. Now, chapter 3 stuff is we're going to start breaking it apart. We're now going to factor. Okay, I'm gonna write the steps down here. Steps. First step. The first term. What makes up x squared? X times x.
Mhm.
So that goes in the first spots. The second step. Look at the second sign. If positive, both signs are the same. They're the first sign. So we look at x squared, that's x. Look at the second sign. It's a positive.
Wait.
Since it's a
That's the sign.
positive, we look at the first sign.
Oh, okay. Positive.
Then in this case, both signs are positive.
Okay.
If the second sign is negative, then opposite signs. One's a positive, one's a negative. If the second sign's a negative, they're opposite signs. One's positive, one's negative. Note the bigger number of your solution
Mhm.
gets the first sign. All right, so far, I mean, all we have left are those last numbers. This is the hardest part of the whole process. The third step is determine what two numbers multiply to equal the last term when you second sign them, you get the middle term. Okay, yes, it's hard to put the last one into words.
Okay.
Determine two numbers that when you multiply them equal the last term. But when you
Mhm.
second sign them, you get the middle term. Let's see what that means. So
Okay.
what two numbers together multiply to equal 6?
Like 2 times 3 or
Yeah, it could be either 6 times 1 or 3 times
right.
2. this is easy, but we'll get more difficult ones. So this is what we have to do. We have to figure out.
Mhm.
So now let's look at the second sign. The second sign. When you add them, 6 plus 1 equals 7.
7.
3 plus 2 equals 5. We're looking for the pair that equals 5. So we know the numbers now have to be 3 and 2.
Right.
So those go in the parentheses.
I don't know how you got that. I mean, I saw how you got that, but I don't know how you got that. Like,
What's
okay,
find two numbers multiplied to equal 6. Find all possible
so 2 numbers.
combinations.
Okay, so 6 times 1, and it was 3 times 2. And then
Now,
when you add them,
when you add them, you get 5.
got it. So we're trying to get to the second term.
Right. And that's what it says here. The middle term. Okay, I call it the second term.
Yeah, middle term. Middle. Got it.
Since
So
we know that
it's
3 plus 2 is 5,
3.
3 times 2 is 6. That's the pair. Let's look at the next
Got it.
example.
That is so complicated.
Actually, no. Actually, it is.
It
Think
has a
about it,
beauty
it's
of
always
it,
so
though.
pure. It's everything cannot happen unless there's a reason for it.
Mhm.
It's the only science that does that. Only
Right.
anything that does that. It's a philosophy of its own. Okay, so what equals x squared?
X and X.
X and x. So that goes in the first spot.
Mhm. So we're trying to get, okay, now this one got a little different because there's only the number 1 in the middle.
But no, we
So,
haven't gotten that far yet.
okay,
So first
okay,
off,
my
look at
bad.
the last term. That's step 1. X squared is x.
Okay.
Those go in the first spots.
Right. And
Then
then
we
the
look at the
second
second
sign is a
sign.
negative.
So when there's one
And
of them
then
is
they're both
positive.
negative.
No.
Oh, wait.
If the second sign is a negative, they're both opposites, plus or minus.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's what that means. Okay, got it.
Second sign, but we know that since this first sign is a negative, the bigger number gets that
Mhm.
sign. So
Okay,
same
the
thing.
bigger number gets a sign.
What times y equals 6? 6 times 1,
6 times 1,
3 times 2.
and then 3 times 2, and then you add those, right?
No.
Or you're
That's
subtracting. You're
because the
subtracting
second
because
sign's a
they're
minus.
negative.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Since equals 1,
Okay,
it's got to be
so-
3 and 2. So the 3 is bigger. The first sign is negative, so 3 goes there.
Oh, okay. That's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Yes, I mean it's once it hits you, it hits you like a ton of bricks. It's not that's so straightforward.
Yeah, see. So X in each parentheses.
Mhm.
Now the second part is if they're both signs are, but is a negative. The bigger sign is negative. So it's a
No. You're not following the rules. It's the steps.
That's what I
Second
was reading
sign,
it. The opposite signs.
then one's positive, one's negative.
Yeah. Positive and negative. That's what I say it's negatives because it's 6.
And the bigger number is positive. The bigger number is always the first sign. The bigger number gets the first sign.
Bigger number gets the first sign. Okay. When you say the bigger number, are you talking about the number that we come up with, like 3 and 2?
Yes. Yes. Our
Okay.
bigger number in our
Okay.
solution, right?
Right, gotcha. So it's like so is it, we're doing the subtraction again since it was -6?
Right.
Okay, so 6 minus 1 and 3 minus 2.
Right. So 3 minus 2 equals 1, and that's a 1 we're looking
Mhm.
for.
Right, okay, so 3 would go into the positive and then 2 into the negative.
Right.
Gotcha, okay. And then the same for this. X, and then it's a positive.
The second
But the
sign's
both signs
positive.
aren't, but they say if signs are positive, but they're not, both the signs are not positive, right? Is that what you're
No.
saying?
If the second sign is a positive,
Oh, okay, see,
then
that's what I'm
both
missing.
signs are the
Okay, never
same.
mind, just kidding. That's what I'm missing right here, the second sign. Pay attention. Okay, I got it now. So if the second sign is positive, which it is,
Then we look at the first sign. They're
both
both
signs.
negative.
Mm-hmm. lost again. Okay. So it's
I'll
so
go
are
over
we
why that is in a
adding?
second.
Okay.
So yeah,
Are we
now we're gonna
adding
add them.
on this part?
Yeah.
Okay.
6 plus 1 is 7. 3 plus 2 is 5. So it's
So
3
we're
and 2.
doing the 3 and 2. Gotcha.
Because remember,
Okay.
here's the thing about it. The first term is made up of the first ones multiplied
Those
together.
two, right?
The last term is these two numbers multiplied together.
Okay.
So the only way it can be positive is if the signs are the same. Negative times negative is a positive. 3 and 2 is 6. Positive and negative is a negative. 3 and 2 is a 6.
Oh, okay,
Positive.
okay, I got it. I see what you're talking about now. I was not understanding that. I was like, how is it positive? But it has to make the sign.
Even though you did that here,
Right. Gotcha.
that's how I had y'all go this way first. But once you see these steps, how they work, it just goes straight forward. Let's try some examples
It's
here.
all it's another it's just repetition of understanding it.
Right. And it just comes eventually. I said it'll smack you in the head, and this is how you do it.
The factoring method.
Mm-hmm.
All right. When you bring the X down. No, I didn't. I already feel like I did that wrong already. Okay. Got it now. So you want to get it, you want to get the X by itself, so it's X minus, right? You want to get it, oh
Go
no,
get all the X's on one side. Let's put it in
okay.
standard form. In order to factor it, has to be in standard form. Set equal to 0, check. Now, when you factor it, what goes in the first spot?
X.
Yeah, that makes up X squared.
Okay, so X squared is gone.
What
So now
signs
we
go
have
here?
positive and negative.
Yeah, because the
Plus
second
and
sign is a
minus.
negative. One's positive, one's negative.
Positive
And the bigger number
negative.
gets what sign?
The bigger number gets the plus sign.
Right, the first sign, right. Okay, now we got to figure out, give me two numbers when you multiply them equal 10.
So you got 5 times 2.
Okay, 5 times 2, 10
and
times
then
1.
10 and 1.
That's it. Now,
Okay.
once we have our possible factors, they equal 10, subtract them.
So we gotta subtract. So
And they have to, whoever equals 3 is our answer.
So it'll be the 5 minus, 2.
5 minus 2
5
is
and
3.
2.
Yeah, plus 10 minus 1 is 9. So the answers numbers are 5 and 2.
So the bigger number gets the 5 and the smaller gets the negative.
Right. Yeah, I know what you meant.
Positive. And, yeah, there you go.
And because it's
Gotcha.
equal to 0, we set both of those equal to 0 and solve it. Those are our answers.
Because it equals a positive 2 because you bring it on over. And this one equals to a negative 5 because you bring it on over.
Remember from chapter 1 when we solved equations for circles? Whatever's inside the parentheses is always the opposite sign.
Right.
Okay, solve that one.
Alright. X squared 12x plus 11 equals 0. So parentheses x, x. And then we want to get the number. And then they're both positive. So they're positive. I
Why are they
mean,
both?
wait, if
You-
they're both signs are the same. If positive, both signs are the same.
Okay,
Per sign.
look at the second sign. It's positive. Yeah, they're both the same.
Hmm.
They're the first sign.
Right. Positive and positive. And then we're trying to get to 11.
Mm-hmm.
So
what
11
times
times
what?
1.
Yeah. And when you add them, what do you get?
When you add them, it's 12.
Which is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So it's 11 and 1.
The big, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter,
11
it's
and
both the
1.
same.
So would it be x equals to negative 11? And then the x equals to -1.
Right.
Gotcha.
And I think the way the book, I mean, the software wants you is when you answer them like this, or I think x equals
Okay.
-11, comma -1.
X equals, let me write that down. X squared minus 2x minus 24 equals 0. So x. And then we want to get to 24. What makes up to 24 is 1 minus 24. And then 2. Well, there's multiple ways. What it doesn't matter. 2 times
Yes.
12.
Okay, now what goes inside the parentheses first? You know, you have one
So
x and x.
it would be positive and negative. I mean,
Very
plus
good.
and minus.
Plus and minus, because that's a negative. Very good. So now we gotta look at what two numbers multiplied equals 24.
Right.
Always, okay, so it's 24 times 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something times 2?
12 times 2.
12 times 2. Is there something times 3?
Yes. Oh my God. 8.
8. Very good.
Like,
How about 4?
6.
5 doesn't go. 6 is there already. All right, so those are all the possibilities.
Okay. That was like, wait a minute. There's multiple choices for 24.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And now, how do we see which pair is good?
So it's a negative. So we subtract them.
Yeah. So, and what are we looking for? What's our magic number?
Our magic number is 2.
Very good. 24 minus 1 is 23. Nope. 12 minus 2 is 10. Nope. 8 minus 3 is 5. 6 minus 4 is
The
2.
last one.
The last one. Yeah.
So it's 6 and 4 in the positive 6 and minus -4. So
Yep.
x equals
Yep.
to
The
x.
bigger number gets
X.
this thing.
Oh yeah. Okay, you're right. That was wrong. 6. So it'll be -4 and x equals to 6. Yeah.
So your answers are -4.
-4 and then x equals to 6.
Very good.
Gotcha.
So that's how you solve.
I think I
That's
got
if you're
that.
leading term. If you're leading coefficient. Okay, let me give you these terms. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Ax squared is called the leading term. A is called the leading coefficient. Once you understand the terminology, the phraseology here, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Leading coefficient leading term. Gotcha.
So that's with leading coefficient equals to 1. Now comes the hard part. For some, not when I teach it. People have most trouble when A is not equal to 1. Or the book says absolute value of A is greater than 1. The easiest way to show you this is if I show you the example and explain it while I'm doing the example. Let's say we had 6x squared minus 7x minus 3 equals 0.
A question before you, so I can get my mind together. Is it going to be almost the same as the first example, like the first thing you just taught me?
Almost like it,
parentheses?
except this throws a huge wrench in it.
Okay, I was just trying to make sure that so I can keep my mind on almost the same track.
Well, actually, but remember, when this was x squared, it was easy, x and x.
Yeah, right.
Now, what equals x 6? It could be 6 and 1. It could be 2 and 3.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not only that, but we have to get this last one too, because they have to combine to equal the middle number.
Okay, that seems harder.
So, yeah, there's a lot of steps, but my method is a shortcut method you could use, and there's almost no thinking involved.
Okay.
So, like other professors will tell you, okay, what are all the factors? Think of those. What are all the factors of this? Forget that. That's meh.
Yeah.
So the first step, place the leading term in both parentheses. So we have 6x and 6x. Not the square. So notice we don't put this 2 in there, just 6x and 6x. We'll fix that at the end. Second step. Place the signs. As before. So since the second sign's a minus,
plus
that's
and
plus
negative.
minus, right?
Number 3.
Step 3. Now, this is the main difference between this and the last one. In the last one, we simply took the last one, separated up. Now, in this one, multiply A times C. Let's call that capital D. So A is 6. Remember, this is A, that's B, and that's C.
So A and C, you multiply it, huh?
So 6 times 3. So this one is 6 times 3 is 18.
Oh, okay.
Now here's where we go back to the same as the last one. Determine all pair of numbers that multiply to equal D. This is D.
Right.
So since D is equal to 18, what all the pairs? We have 18 times 1.
18 times 1. Oops. And then you got 6 times 3.
9 times
Or
2. Let's go.
9 times
You
2.
try to
Okay,
let's-
we're doing,
one,
we're
two.
going.
Yeah, it
And
makes it easier that
then,
way.
what did I say? 8 times 3.
18 times
Mhm.
1, 9 times 2, 6 times 3. Those are all the
6 times
possibilities.
3. Gotcha.
Then use the second sign to get the second term. So we're looking for 7.
We're looking for 7. Okay. So we're
And we're using
subtracting.
subtracting. So 18 minus 1 is 17.
17.
9 minus 2 is 7. 6 minus 3 is 3.
So it's going to be the middle one, 9 and.
So it's 9 and 2.
Yes, sir. 2.
So where does the 9 go?
The 9 goes with to the positive. Oh wait, no, the minus,
Right, because of the first sign. So 9 goes there,
Put it up.
2 goes there. Place in the correct parentheses. Step 7. Factor out a common number, if possible, from both. So the first parenthesis, what do they both have in common?
They have 6x.
The first
Wait,
parenthesis.
Oh, they're even. Like you can divide.
They
6
both have a
times
2 in
2.
common, right?
Right.
So if I take out a 2 out of both of them, what do I have left?
You have 4.
Nope.
Right? Is that what you're asking?
Divide. You divide both of those.
Oh, divide 3.
So it's 3x plus
1.
1. And the next one?
And then we're doing it by 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be 3. And then divided by 3 is 2x. 3 minus 3.
Yep.
So we divided by 2 over here. And divided by 3 over here.
Right. So now the 8th step, remove
Factor out a, what is it? Common
a common number,
number.
if possible, if they both have a common number.
Number 8
Is remove the factored numbers.
remove the factor numbers.
Yeah, all this means is
All right.
this. So our answer is 3x plus 1, 2x minus 3. That's our factor.
Gotcha.
And step 9 is
Zero.
solve. So we have 3x plus 1 equals 0, 2x minus 3 equals 0.
Equals 0. So you want to so it'll be 3x. Oh, not 3x. You divide it by 3, right?
Mm-hmm. No, not yet.
So
You have to first move the 1
1 over here, so it'll be a -1,
And then you divide by 3.
3x, and then 2x equals to +3. Then you divide it by 3, divided by 3. This one divided by 2, divided by 2. So x equals, 3, 2. X equals to -1, 3.
So but whenever you have a coefficient, it's still, it's opposite sign as this one, -1,
Mhm.
divided by that. Opposite
Gotcha.
sign divided by that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so if I give you 5x minus 7, it would equal what if you factored it? Just say it
It'll
was
be
0.
7. It'll be 7 over 5.
Yep, that's a shortcut way.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's do
Gotcha.
that.
Gotcha.
Let's do another one. Get back to the practice here.
Yeah.
15x² minus x minus 2 equals 0.
Okay. So we're gonna do the parentheses.
Mhm.
And then you bring down the 15x.
Look at your previous question.
Yeah, it says place leading term in both parentheses. So it's 15x.
Mhm.
15x. Not the square. And then place the signs as before. Oh, yeah. So this one is a negative. So they're both negative. So it would be negative. Wait, no,
Second sign's a
positive and
minus.
negative.
Right.
Positive and negative. Positive and negative. And then we're trying to get to the number. Oh, no, we have to, no, we multiply A and C to equal to D.
Right.
So A, B, C. So 15 times 2, it's 30.
Right. That equals,
15
that's
times
D.
2 equals 30, which is D, yeah. Equals to D. So we have to figure out, determine all the pairs to equal to 30, right?
Mhm.
So it's 1 times 30
Yeah,
equals
30 times
30.
1.
And then 2 times 15 equals to 30. And then 3 times 5 equals, no, I
10.
did that wrong.
3 times 10. I always
3
put
times
the
10,
bigger one
yeah.
because it makes it easier for the next step.
Oh, okay. All right, so equals to 30. So and the next step will be use a second sign to get the second
No, we're not
term.
done yet. There's still more.
Oh,
We haven't done all the possibilities.
4.
4 doesn't go into 30.
No. It's 6 times 5. 6 times 5
Yeah,
equals to
that's
30.
as many we have.
Okay. So after we determine all of those to equal to D, use the second sign to get the second term. The second sign is negative. So minus.
Right.
So minus. So that equals to 29. 12. I mean 13. 7. And then 1.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be 5 and 6.
Right. So then what do you do with those numbers?
So the larger number goes to the negative
Mhm. The first sign.
5. So it'll be 5 and 6.
Right.
And after that, after we get the larger number, then we put them in the factor a common number if possible, which would be on the first one would be 5, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
So 5 5 divided by is equals to 3. And then 1.
Very good.
3x plus 1. And then the next one would be, wouldn't it be, I don't know, that one, 5?
Does
6.
5 go into 6?
No,
What is 15 made up
so
of?
6. 15 is made up of 3 times 5.
And 6 is made up of?
3 times 2,
So what do they have in common?
3. So it would be 12x. I'm so
Hmm?
confused now at this point. I'm so confused. So you made it into 3. Oh, 5. Just kidding. 5x. And then 2.
Right.
Negative
Because you divide these by 3.
2. By 3
Next step.
equals 0. Next step is remove the factor number. So take off the 5 and the 3. And then it'll be 3x plus 1. And then 5x minus 2. And then they equal to 0. So 3x divided by 3. Well, you have to get to 0. I mean, you have to
Yeah, the
get the
zero product
x by
principle set them both
itself.
equal 0.
Yeah. 3x plus 1 equals O. X minus 2 equals O. Then you want to then so negative 1 over here, and then it's over 3. And then it's 2 over 5.
That's it.
That's
Okay.
not that bad after all. It's just a lot of steps.
Well, yeah. I mean, but if you have it written down in the way you understand, then it's a lot easier. I'm not going to help you with this.
Okay. Can I go to the restroom real quick?
Yeah,
I'll
of
be
course, of
right
course.
back.
Yeah, let me put on
Sorry.
pause.
Okay. So you bring down a 6 on both 6x. 6x. And then it's positive and negative.
What does the rule say about the signs?
So it says if it's opposite sign, positive and negative.
If what? Which one are you looking at to determine the signs?
So if second sign is positive, both signs are the first sign, which is negative.
They're both negative.
Yeah. So it's just I need to remember that rule. Negative and negative. And then and then multiply A and C. A, B, C. So 15 times 6,
Mm-hmm.
90.
Mm-hmm.
And then after we determine D, that's D, we have to determine all the pairs that are equal to D. So 1 times 90 equals to 90. 2 times, is there 2? No, it's 3. No, wait.
Does
Nope,
2
it's
times
3.
anything equal 90? Go down the list.
2. Oh, I didn't hear your question. I apologize.
So is there something times 2 that equals 90?
I don't think so. Well, no, wait. No, 60. No, that's
What's
too much.
half of
40,
90?
40. Half of 90 is 35.
45.
45.
Yes. How about
And
3? Is there
then,
anything with 3?
no, that's 30,
Mhm.
30, 90, 4. We have to go throughout the whole number line?
Just, yeah, I mean, this is the best way of doing it. Is see, okay, does 4 go into 90?
I don't think so.
No, so that one's not there. Does 5 go into 90?
Yes.
How many times?
8,
18. 18.
18. That's on it, 18. That's a lot. Do I keep going?
Yeah, I mean, you have to check all of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so. Okay. 90. Okay. Sorry. So how many times 6 go into 90? Man, this is hard. 6. No. Sorry, I have to really I have to write it out.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, no problem. Easiest way to do that. 6 is made up of 2 times 3. Does 3 go into 90?
Does 3 go into 90? Yes.
30
30.
times. Now, does
Right.
2 go into 30?
Yes.
Basically all you're doing is this, is 90 divided by 6 is 90 divided by 3 times 2. 3 goes into 90 30 times. Does 2 go into 30? 15.
15. Oh my God. 15.
Does
I had
7 go into
divided it.
90?
The 7 going to 90. I have no idea. 7 goes into 1.
I mean, save time. You can always use a calculator to save time if you want to, because you have to go
Oh,
through a lot of
okay.
these.
So, well, it's a, so no, not 7.
Nope. How about 8?
No,
How about 9?
10. So,
11, 12. Then if we got anything else, it'd go up. So yeah, once you stop at 10.
right.
So now, how do you check if which one of these pairs of numbers are correct?
So we have to get to the second term. We have to get it to the second term, correct?
Yeah.
19.
If you do what?
We're subtracting,
Why?
right?
Look at your rules.
Wait, use a second sign to get to the second term. Oh, sorry, we're adding.
Yeah, we're adding.
Sorry,
So which one of these add to equal what number?
it has to equal to 19.
Right.
So, it wouldn't be the first one. And then, oh, wait, I confused myself. I'm so sorry. I confused myself on that. So it wouldn't be the first one because 1 plus 90 is 91.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't be the second one. It wouldn't be the third one. It wouldn't be the number 5. And then what is it? 6. It wouldn't be that one. It would be the last one. 9 times.
Right.
I mean 9 plus 10. And then so 10
Since
and
they're both
9.
the same, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So after that, then that's when we were, what number am I on? Number placing the common up. Now we got to figure out the common, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's the first one would be divided by 2.
Right.
So it would be 2, and then 3x minus 5.
Right? So they're both prime numbers.
And
Can't go any
then,
further.
right, and then the next one would be divided by 3. So 2x minus 3 equals 0. And then you take off the factors, so it'll be 3x minus 5 equals 0. 2x minus 3 equals 0. And then you bring your 5 on over, 5, 3, and then 3, 2. 3, 2. Oh, okay. So the last step, you would bring your 5 on over, and it'll be 5 over 3. Yeah, 5 over 3, and then the next other one will be 3 over 2.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. I think I kind of got it for the most part. I just got to go through the steps correctly.
I'm thinking about, should we go into the next, because that does it for factoring. Those are all
Okay.
the factoring possibilities, either if a equals 1 or a equals something other than 1.
Uh-huh.
The next step is complete the square. It's a whole nother process. I don't know if you want to continue, or do you want to practice this stuff first?
I feel like I can do this.
All right,
It's a lot of practice, but I think I'm okay. Where I feel like I can continue to understand it. Yes. No, baby, I'm working.
The next method is called complete the square method. The complete the square method, you'll end up with an equation that looks like this. This, this is called the vertex form. Because once we get it into this form, then we know our vertex is going to be B, C. All right. But it doesn't tell us anything else. It doesn't tell us the x-intercept, the y-intercept, or anything else. It just tells us the vertex. So let's look at this first example. All right. So here we use the next two methods whenever it's not factorable. You can't factor this to make it work, because what times what is 10 when you add them, you get 6. 10 plus 1 is 11. 5 plus 2 is 7. So you can't factor it, so you got to do another method. Here are the steps. Move the C term to other side. So you're going to have X's and non-X's. X's on one side and non-X's on the other. So that's our first step. Now,
X's, X's.
this is also important. It should be actually the first step. A has to equal 1. If not, then divide by A. Divide the entire equation by A. But since our A is 1, we're good to go.
Not, divide by A. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay, so X is 1 though.
So the next step, after we get the A by, the C by itself and X is the other side,
Put it up.
add B over 2 squared to both sides. The B value is whatever's in front of the X. The sign's not important because when you square it, it's going to take care of the sign. So this is step 2. Add B, in this case it's 6 over 2 squared. Step 3, the left side, only do inside the parentheses. The right side, work it out.
Go clean up.
So
You
what
got
that
all
gives
the
us,
time.
6 divided by 2 is 3 squared.
3 squared.
And the
Six
other side is
squared
working all the way out. So 6 divided by 2 is 3 squared. Negative 10 plus 9 is negative 1.
So then 10 plus 3 squared. And then negative 10 plus 9. That's a negative 1.
So now step 4. This is when you complete the square. On the left side, you have a squared plus bx plus, I'll call that c squared now. On the left side, whatever's under the squared goes inside the parentheses, along with the first sign.
So A plus C squared.
So in our case, x is under the square,
X
3 is under the
and then
square,
3
and the plus sign
plus
goes in the middle.
3. And then you square it off equals to negative 1. Okay. Doesn't seem that bad right now.
This is the part where we split up. If we wanted to look like this in vertex form, we'd move the 1 over.
Right.
It would be x plus 3 squared plus 1. So the vertex would be negative 3, positive 1.
Gotcha.
or we can solve it.
Mhm.
Solve usually the X-intercepts. So here, we're solving for X. So first off, we have to square root both sides.
Busy.
The square and the square root cancel out. Remember, whenever you square root something that's squared, the
It's
other side is plus or
positive,
minus.
negative. Ooh, I was gonna ask what a random question, but would it be like, was it because it's a square root -1? Would it be like I1 or 1I or whatever it's called? There you
Very
go.
good.
There.
That's exactly what it would be.
Okay. So x plus 3 equals positive -I.
And then we subtract 3 from both sides. So we get negative
So
3 plus or minus
subtract
I.
3 from both sides. Subtract 3 and then equals to -3 plus minus I.
And there's your solution. The reason we couldn't factor it is because this graph, since the vertex is at -3, 1, the vertex at -3, 1, and it's a positive A, so it opens up. So we have no solutions, no X-intercepts.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. -3. Gotcha.
Let's do another one.
That doesn't seem as bad.
No, it's just labor intensive.
Yeah.
X squared plus 12x plus 11 equals 0.
X squared plus 12x plus 11 equals 0. So let's see, turn to the other side. So we want to get 11, it's -11. So we have x squared plus 12x equals to -11. And then with 1. And then add b to b over 2 squared to both sides. Oops, x squared, and then it's 12, 2.
To both sides.
To both sides. 12, 2 squared equals, so it'll be -11, and then 12, 2 squared. And then do the left side only do inside, and then right side work it out. That's x squared plus 12x plus 6 squared equals to, work it out. So 11 plus 6 squared, and then
Work it out. I mean,
Mhm.
12 divided by 2 is
Oh,
6
okay.
squared,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
a -11. Don't
right.
forget the negative
11.
sign.
Yeah. -11 squared is 36.
Manuel, good morning,
Manual,
sir.
so it'll be
So 36 minus 11
25.
is
25.
25. Whatever's under the square and the first sign
Square
So it's x plus 6.
X plus 6 equals to 25, or x, you got the square, 25. Gotcha. Now,
So at this point, if I
okay,
wanted to know the vertex,
yeah, the vertex one. We square
then
root it.
I would move the 25 over. The vertex would be at -6, -25.
Because it would, because whatever the sign is in the parentheses is opposite sign.
Yeah, whenever you have parentheses, the answer is always the opposite sign,
Opposite sign.
always.
Gotcha. So you just bring that down. Gotcha.
Now for the x-intercepts, or the solution, so we here we have x plus 6 squared equals 25. Square root both sides.
Square root both sides. And then that'd be 5 on that side. X plus
Be plus
6
or
equals
minus
to 5.
5.
Plus or minus, I mean, not forget that, plus or minus 5. But then you want to have the x by itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So minus 6, minus 6. 11, 11.
Well, there's two possible
Or what you
answers.
come, oh, possible answers, right?
-6 plus 5, -6 minus 5. You have to take both of those answers.
-1. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, one more, then I get ready for my 11:30 class.
Okay. Two
2x squared minus 1 equals
minus
3x.
1 equals 3x. Okay, so I lost my notes on the other page. Sorry. So what do we want to get it into the form?
Right. So we have 2x squared minus 3x minus 1 equals 0. I subtract 3x from both sides.
Right. Equals O. But A is not 1.
Okay, now here's, okay, now because A is not 1,
Right.
we divide by A.
So you divide it by 2.
The end, if we're doing the vertex method, at the end, we multiply by A. I'll show you when we get there.
Okay.
At the end, as we said, at the end,
Okay.
we multiply by A if we're doing the vertex method.
Gotcha.
So that's V method.
B method. VM. So now, we add the B over 2, or move
Nope,
C.
we move the C over first.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have 2x squared minus 3x equals 1. We have to divide by 2 everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, we have to remember that A equals 2.
A equals to 2. Gotcha. That's important. Okay. So we have x squared minus 3/2x equals to 1/2.
Now
Right,
is where you
X,
add B over 2 to both sides. B over 2 squared.
uh,
3 over 2 divided by 2 squared. B is 3 over 2. I divided by 2.
3/2
And I
divided
square.
by 2 square.
Okay, because in this case we have a fraction over a fraction.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 over 2. 2 is 2 over 1.
Right. That's
Take the
1.
top fraction, leave it alone, multiply by the flip of the bottom.
So DC. So it'd be 1/2 or 1/2.
And so it'll be 3 over 2. 3 over 2 times 1 over 2 makes it 3 over 4.
This is 3/4. 2 squared minus 2x plus 3/4 squared equals 2 1/2 plus 3/4 squared. Gotcha. It doesn't seem like it's all complete the square.
Yeah, so on the left side we have x
X minus 3/4 square equals to 1/2.
1/2 plus what? What is 3 over
Plus
4 squared?
3/4 square. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know right now.
Square on both.
3 over
What is 3 squared?
square and both. Oh, so 9 and then oh my god, 8 16.
Mm-hmm.
9 over 16. So it's 1/2. 1/2 plus 9 over 16. 10 over 18.
No.
Is that right?
In order to
No?
add, you have to have common denominators.
Oh, okay. So
Or if you don't, or you could do the butterfly method.
times 8.
But yeah, the bottom is going to be
16 over
16,
18. Oh, wait, I did that backwards. 18 over 16.
and top's going to be 17. 8 plus 9 is 17.
Oh, we're doing plus. You're correct. I did that so wrong.
Yeah.
17 over 16. Now,
Okay, remember, now if this is where it splits. If we're doing the vertex method,
right, it would be 3/4.
but remember at the beginning, we divided by -2.
Right. Oh, you multiply by 2.
Yeah, so we get 2x minus 3/4 minus 2 times 17 over 16, which is 17 over 8.
2x minus 3, 4 squared. So it's 16. Yeah, okay.
But to solve it, we have to do what? Square root both sides.
Square root it.
Equals plus or minus
Equals
square root of 17 over square root of 16. We can split those up.
16.
Square root of 16 is 4.
Root of 16 is 4.
So we add
So what do you? Okay, go ahead.
3/4 to both
Add
sides.
4 to both sides.
3 over 4 plus or minus square root of 17 over 4.
4. Yes. All right.
Which means our x-intercepts would be x equals 3 plus square root of 17 over 4, 3 minus square root of 17 over 4. Because we have a common denominator, 4.
That was complicated a little.
Yeah, that's why I hesitate going further, because it does get
Yeah,
more
that was
complicated.
pretty complicated, but it's almost the same, but it's a little complicated. I will have to get with you and ask more questions about that.
Well, yeah, that's why I need. Right now, it's just pretty jumbled in your head. That's why I have to sit down and
Yeah.
look at your notes and try to do the homework,
Yeah.
which is what we'll do next time.
Okay. We'll do the homework next time. Can I ask you a question
Sure.
before you get ready for next class? Okay.
Want me
So
to pause it, or is
yes, you can pause it. It's done. We're done. It's you can pause it. So I have a